What's up everyone, Super Nerd Daniel here once again. Before we get started, I just have to clarify that this video contains some major spoilers for Pokemon Sun and Moon. So if you haven't played the game yet and you don't want to get spoiled, might not want to watch it. So, Lusamine, President of the Aether Foundation, Ultra Beast Enthusiast, Mother of the Year. Lusamine is the surprise, but not actually really a surprise antagonist of Pokemon Sun and Moon, hatching a plan to unleash the mysterious and dangerous Ultra Beasts. Eventually, she runs away to Ultra Space itself and actually merges with one of the creatures, Nihilego, and turns into a monstrous version of herself, which ultimately just acts as an overblown alternate trainer sprite because she just battles you with her actual Pokemon, but whatever. Missed opportunities for cool boss battles aside, just what did lead to Lusamine's obsession with the Ultra Beasts? Why did she so badly want to find Nihilego specifically? And how did this cause the dissolution of her family life? That's what we're going to talk about today, because the tale of Lusamine's family is one worth telling, and if you're into misfortune, then boy, this one's a doozy. Back in the day, Lusamine had a much bigger family. Herself, her daughter Lillie, her son Gladion, and her husband, Lillie and Gladion's father, Mon. Yup, the Pokepelago guy, the dude who tells you how you can get lots and lots of beans. That's Lusamine's husband. He wasn't always the super chill bean-shilling dude on a remote island in the middle of nowhere, though. As you can find out for yourself in a dimensional research lab, Mon used to be a scientist, a brilliant one at that. And his research inadvertently set the entire series of events of Pokemon Sun and Moon, and indeed the dissolution of his family's well-being, into motion. Years before the games began in earnest, Mon was the Aether Foundation scientist who first confirmed the existence of both the Ultra Beasts and the mysterious passageways dubbed Ultra Wormholes. One day, in his attempts to connect to such a wormhole, he vanished, leaving behind only some incomplete notes about the Ultra Beast that would later become known as Nihilego, and a weakened Cosmog. Now, it's never really explained how or why Mon ended up on the Pokepelago telling strangers about beans for a living, or why he never brings up his past life, but maybe that's because he doesn't remember it. After all, those who pass through an Ultra Wormhole seem to suffer from acute amnesia, only remembering some basic details about their lives. That's what happened to Annabelle, according to Looker, when he and Nanu found her washed up on a beach some years prior. She could only remember her name, that she was from Hoenn, and that she used to be a powerful trainer in charge of guarding a tower of some sort. It's pretty likely that Mon suffered a similar level of memory loss after being sucked into the Ultra Wormhole himself. Lusamine, also being a scientific mind, likely witnessed the event firsthand, and having to watch her husband disappear, never to be seen again, likely caused some very deep emotional trauma. She became driven by only one goal: to reach Ultra Space, and to find the Ultra Beasts. Gladion even says in the postgame that she became completely obsessed by this mission, and that he believed it was in some ill-fated attempt to get her husband back. Or at least that's what he had to tell himself, quote, to get through it. What it was never explicitly stated, but it's fairly heavily implied that Lusamine became extremely controlling, perhaps even abusive, towards Lillie and Gladion during this time. One glaringly obvious example of this controlling nature was her insistence that Lillie dress up only in clothes that Lusamine told her to, and that Lillie style her hair in a very specific way, crafting her appearance in a manner oddly reminiscent of Nihilego, which will explain why it looks so absurdly similar to Lillie that many people on YouTube were originally theorizing that Lillie herself was the Ultra Beast. Those pre-release theories seem so long ago now, don't they? But I digress. Getting back to the Mon incident, it's likely that not only was Lusamine there to witness it, but that Nihilego itself was also specifically involved. Perhaps somewhere in the encounter, Nihilego came into physical contact with Lusamine, giving her a dose of its neurotoxins, causing the change in behavior that Lillie mentioned during your conversation with her on Exeggutor Island. She recalls that Lusamine used to be kind and loving and seemed to genuinely care for her children once upon a time, but then one day, she changed. Such a drastic change would likely come from the combination of the trauma of losing her husband to an interdimensional wormhole and the influence of an alien creature's neurotoxins. Neurotoxins which, according to the Aether Foundation's research, simulates feelings of excitement while causing a loss of inhibitions, and forcibly brings out any latent potential within the host, at the cost of the host's mental stability. Lusamine became a controlling, abusive tyrant toward her children, which was likely a big driving force behind Lillie and Gladion's individual decisions to run away from the Aether Paradise, with each of their chosen Pokemon being a way to hinder their mother's plans. Gladion needing a Pokemon whose entire reason for existence was fighting the Ultra Beasts, and Lillie stealing the Pokemon whose power was Lusamine's key to reaching them. Lusamine was so driven to get Cosmog back, so driven to get Nihilego, that she teamed up with Guzma and his gang of Pokemon-stealing hooligans Team Skull, even going so far as to sponsor their criminal activities and pay them to deliver Pokemon that they stole to the Aether Foundation under the disguise of the Foundation rescuing them from Team Skull's clutches, all in an attempt to find Cosmog, her long-lost key to Ultra Space, her key to Nihilego, the creature for which she was so willing to forsake the well-being and happiness of anyone else around her, including her own children. In her neurotoxin-driven obsession, Lusamine not only disowns her own children, but then almost begins to view the Ultra Beasts as her children in some twisted way, referring to the UBs, particularly Nihilego, as her sweet beasts. And all the while she says Lillie and Gladion are not worthy of her love, calling them wretched and ugly for supposedly rejecting her love in the first place. And here's the real kicker about Nihilego's neurotoxins. They don't directly influence the actions of the host. Quote, anything or anyone that a Nihilego latches onto will have its native skills forcibly activated to their fullest extent and will then act as it naturally desires to. In other words, Nihilego doesn't tell its host to do or say anything. It simply brings out and amplifies pre-existing traits within whatever it's possessing. That means that any controlling or abusive characteristics that Lusamine exhibited during the main plot were already present within her before that, and were simply brought to the forefront after her first confrontation with Nihilego during the incident in which Mon disappeared. And that's why I don't exactly personally agree with Lillie's decision to be so forgiving to her mother after the plot is all said and done. Yes, apparently Lusamine had some remorse for what she'd done, and yes, her actions were amplified by an alien creature, but again, Nihilego wasn't pulling Lusamine's puppet strings and telling her to dance, and her remorse for the action she took, even if it was legitimate, which I kinda like to think it was, doesn't magically undo the fact that she took those actions. Look, I don't want to sit here and try and dictate whether two kids who grew up in a broken home and were possibly abused, how to cope with it or whether or not to forgive their abuser. All I'm saying is that if I were in Lillie and Gladion's shoes, I don't think I'd be quite so forgiving. But what do you guys think of all this? Let me know in the comments below. Give this video a like if you liked it, and subscribe for more totally uplifting discussions about neurotoxins and broken family relationships in the future. See you next time, Pokemon trainers. Super Nerd Daniel, out!